Kristi Noem, the current Secretary for Homeland Security of the United States. Her name is Kristi Lynn Arnold Noem. She is 53 years old. She is serving under the Trump administration, and she's right now the public face and the person in charge of Donald Trump's mass deportation program or agenda or plan, whatever you want to call it. And she's been pretty supportive of Donald Trump and the immigration policies that he's enacting, and she's just, you know, she's pretty MAGA. She's a hardcore Trump supporter. Let me look a little bit more into her history. I think she was a governor. She was the former. I think I just saw it. Uh, let's see. She was the 33rd governor of South Dakota from 2019 to 2025. So yeah, she was apparently the governor all the way up until as of recently, till she got her new position serving with Donald Trump. And she's getting a little bit more popularity because the incredibly hilarious and always relevant show South Park did a kind of an episode on her. I'll move my camera a little bit so you guys can see what I'm looking at. This is Kristi Noem's portrayal in South Park. She didn't really like it. This isn't the biggest news in the world. It's not the end of the world or anything like that, but she just straight up lied when she was talking about her little episode on South Park, when she was asked about it, because obviously she's going to be asked about it. This is a big relevant topic that everyone's talking about. It's going viral. When talking to Glenn Beck, she just kind of lied. So, I like keeping track of these people's lies, so let's hear it out.
South Park is known for its edgy humor, and in its latest episode, they've targeted a satirical eye on Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Now the Trump cabinet member known as Ice Barbie is hitting back, denouncing South Park as, quote, lazy and petty.
Kristi Noem is firing back.
I'm Kristi Noem, head of Homeland Security.
Appearing on the Glenn Beck
That's
podcast,
so funny.
The Secretary of Homeland Security slammed the guys behind South Park for their edgy portrayal of her on this week's episode.
It's so lazy to just constantly make fun of women for how they look. If they wanted to criticize my job, go ahead and do that, but clearly they can't.
There it is. There it is. That's the lie right there. That's what I want to talk about. It is so lazy to just constantly make fun of women for how they look. That is not what they were doing at all. Sure, they took shots at her Botox and her plastic surgery. It is really weird. I wish they it's South Park. You know what they're going to do. I wish they would have focused a little bit more on her job and career and her politics. But they did, at the very least, talk about that. There was a whole bunch of substance in that episode talking about if they're brown, they go down. You know, all sorts of stuff. Just constantly just letting anyone into ICE is like very little requirements. There are some requirements. It's not as lax as South Park said, but there were legitimate criticisms there of ICE policies, ICE's actions. There was tons of talking about her shooting her dog. There were so many. There were probably just as much references to her killing her dog than there were about her looks, and that's another thing that Kristi Noem is very known for. In her book, the most famous part of her book that she released a few years ago, she famously talked about a story where one of her dogs, her puppy or her dog, some dog that she owned, her family or whatever, had a dog, and the dog bit another animal or a neighbor or something. So she just decided to, well, it's a problem dog. I'm gonna take it out back and shoot it, and that's exactly what she did. I'm not as angry about that decision as some other people are. It is a little bit crazy and wacko. There's so many other solutions you could have gone to outside of just taking the dog into your own backyard and killing it your damn self. Like, oh my god. It was so obviously just a story that she was using to make herself come across as like, I'm tough, I can make the hard decisions, and I'll shoot a puppy, these liberals, they're gonna get triggered about it. I'm not like most women. I'm not like other girls. Yeah, it was something like that. It was just so cringe. It was so stupid that she would even do that, let alone talk about it in her book as she's like governor, getting more public attention than ever. It's just such a bad decision on her end. She's just kind of ridiculous. So that was the criticism of Kristi Noem. They criticized ICE, they criticized Donald Trump, JD Vance. They were not just going after Kristi Noem for her looks. They went after her for her history of shooting her puppy, for her weird, over the top, ridiculous stance when it comes to being the head of ICE and all the deportations and just the desperate recruitment to get people to join ICE, and her being the face of all that. There's all kinds of criticisms up the ass. And yo, I haven't even seen the episode yet. So Kristi Noem is just lying on the Glenn Beck program. It was lazy to constantly take shots at her looks. It was so easy, but that is not the only criticism. Why is she pretending like they didn't have substantial criticisms of her work, of her history, of her politics, of her recent actions?
Ugh. Of women for how they look. If they wanted to criticize my job, go ahead and do that, but clearly they can't.
They absolutely did. They criticized the shit out of ICE.
Pick something petty like that.
This week's episode savagely mocked her Ice Barbie reputation, showing her getting all dolled up, only to shoot one puppy after another as her Botox wears off.
Ooh, your Botox, Miss Noem? Oh, yeah, fix me up, fix me up.
Another day doing what's tough.
Borders are...
See, like there. Yeah, sure, there was a talking about her looks, but then immediately it was just for the press and everything, when she's acted like she just does what's tough. She's doing the hard job, and all the press, like she's just a walking press Barbie doll. She's the Ice Barbie. I don't love that nickname, but there is obvious criticisms that are full of substance, full of politics, full of relevancy, and she obviously knows. She knows that. Kristi Noem, just head of Homeland Security, just straight up lying after she got roasted by the comedic geniuses of South Park.